So let's talk about what's up with all of these things. Hi, I'm Jeremy with Poindexter G, and today I'm going to explain how the naming for all the different types of ammunition works. So you've got two different ways that it works for handgun and rifle ammunition, and something different going on with shotguns. For handgun and rifles, you've got ammunition that's measured in inches and ammunition that's measured in millimeters. So for the metric, you'll have things like 9mm, 10mm, or 7.62mm. For inches, you'll have things measured in like 380 or 45 or 22. And if you remember a little bit about math, you'll remember things like 0.380 and 0.38 being the same size. So in theory, 380 and 38 are the same size bullet. Now, shotgun ammunition is measured in gauge, and this is where it gets kind of strange, because as the number gets lower, the actual size of the bore gets bigger. That's because gauge represents splitting up a 1 ounce piece of lead by X number of pieces. We'll say 12, for example, with 12 gauge, and every little 12th piece of that is made into a perfect sphere, and then the circumference of that sphere is the bore of the shotgun. Who decided that this was a good idea and a good way to do things? I don't know. So if you think about it, that instead of it being a whole number, it's basically the denominator of a fraction, like 1/12 or 1/20th, then it becomes obvious why 20 gauge is smaller than 12 gauge, because this is 1/20th and this is 1/12th. So 12, 20, 28, those are all different sizes of shotgun rounds, and they're all measured in gauge, except for the 410 gauge, which is measured in inches, because you gotta have one that doesn't follow the rules, because what fun would it be if we were consistent? Okay, so we got some in millimeters, we got some in inches, we got gauges, which are basically fractions. All right, we got it done. Wait, what? There's more? Okay, so we've got like a name that will go after the number. Now the names kind of vary a lot. A lot of them are after manufacturers. A lot of them are name of a person that was involved with designing it. A lot of these names are often abbreviated into letters that you will see after it, such as 45 ACP, which stands for automatic Colt pistol. You get other things like 22 long rifle, 10mm auto, 32 Winchester centerfire, 40 Smith & Wesson, 223 Remington, 50 Action Express, 45 Glock automatic pistol. Wait, I kind of forgot that 45 Gap was actually a thing. And then you got 50 BMG, which stands for Bad Mother Gunner. What? Okay, I'm told now that 50 BMG actually stands for Browning Machine Gun, and that's kind of disappointing. So when you see a manufacturer name after the size of the round on a firearm, it doesn't mean that the firearm is made by that company. Such as a 40 Smith & Wesson may not necessarily be a Smith & Wesson. There are a bunch of different companies that make 40 Smith & Wesson firearms. But then we've got a number of them that just have a word after it because they think it sounds cool, like 224 Valkyrie and 350 Legend and 9mm Parabellum, which is not actually named after John Wick. But if I was going to name a round after someone, it probably would be John Wick. 9mm Parabellum actually comes from a Latin phrase, which means if you want to see peace, prepare for war, which is kind of pessimistic, but probably also accurate. But then you've also got other names for 9mm Parabellum, like 9mm Luger, which has to do with the pistol that it was originally developed for. Other rounds also have multiple names, like 380 ACP is also known as 9mm Short, or 9mm Browning, or 9mm Kurz. But then you get the ones that have a number followed by a dash and another number, such as 3220, or 3030, or 4570 Government, which is the only government I trust. These have to do with the original black powder loading, how many grains of black powder there were in there, such as 3220 having 20 grains, 3030 having 30 grains, 4570 having 70 grains. But then you've also got 30-06, which is a number and a dash, and another number followed by it. And that doesn't mean that there's like 6 grains of powder. It just means that it was originally adopted in 1906. So yeah, that gets kind of complicated. And then we got the boring ones that just have a number by another number, like 762 by 39 or 762 by 54R. I mean, that's pretty much just the dimensions of the round. They couldn't come up with any cool names, so they just put the numbers there. All right, we got all these numbers down. We got it figured out. There's names after the numbers. We're good. We're ready to finish up. Wait, there's still more. Okay, there's like a lot of other little terms that have to do with all the types of ammunition. Let's go ahead and get these out of the way. Okay, we'll start with special. That just means that it's a special round. Just remember, 38, that I like you just the way you are. You're special to me. Actually, special just means that it's a lighter load. Now, there may not be like a heavier equivalent version of it around anymore, but that's basically what you got. Magnum, what does that mean? Tom Selleck. No! Magnum is a word that comes from wine bottles. That basically you would have a Magnum bottle that would be bigger than the regular bottles. So Magnum is a bigger round. 44 Magnum is a larger version of the 44 Special. It's basically a little bit longer cartridge with the same bullet. It's got some more powder in it. It goes bang harder, and it's so powerful it'll blow your head clean off. Plus P, that means it's got extra pew-pews in it. Pew, 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 pew. It just means that it's a load with more powder in it that goes bang harder. So what's the difference between it and Magnum? Well, generally plus P will end up being the same size cartridge, such as 9mm plus P is the exact same looking cartridge as a regular 9mm. So make sure that if you're getting plus P ammo, that your firearm is actually rated to be able to accept the plus P. A lot of older firearms won't be able to take those and you'll blow it up. Rimmed cartridges. Basically, rimmed cartridges have this rim on the back of it, which your other cartridges will not have. They just have a little groove in there that it uses to extract. These basically help it seat in there. Center fire versus rim fire. Center fire means that there is a primer in the center that it strikes. Center fire. Rim fire means that it hits it on the rim, and that's where the primer is, and that's what makes it go boom. There aren't a whole lot of really common rim fire rounds anymore. 22 long rifle is kind of the king of the rim fires, but there are a few others hanging around out there. So we've got the sizes explained. We've got the names after the sizes explained. We've got the little words that go after the names explained. Okay, we've got to be finished up with it now. We're ready to go. There's still more. Okay, so I'm supposed to go over sizes here a little bit. Okay, so 45 ACP has a bullet size of .451. All right, that's basically 45. 45 Long Colt has .452, pretty much 45. 4570 is .458, once again, pretty much 45. And 380 ACP has a bullet size of .355. Wait, what? 380 has a bullet that's .355? Okay, but the neck size is .373, and that's close to 380. So 380 is naming itself after the neck of the bullet, but then 380 is also known as 9mm short, and 9mm is .355. So in its metric name, it's by the actual bullet size. I mean, 9mm Parabellum is .355, so that's pretty close. 357 Magnum is .357. Okay, that's good. And 38 Special is .357. Wait, 357 on the 38 Special? It's naming itself after its neck of 379? What? So basically, some of these name themselves after the bullet, and some of them name themselves after the neck, and there's like no consistency or correlation. It's just like whichever one they want to do. I mean, why are you all so complicated? So that's the whole explanation, confusing or not. If you did find this video useful, be sure to like or comment. You can also subscribe to my channel to make sure that you don't miss any of the videos that I put out. I'm Jeremy with Poindexter G, and we'll see you next time.